Klinenberg. Thank you for joining me this afternoon to discuss your critically acclaimed book, 2020. So, to start, how did you handle the emotional toll of revisiting such a difficult year in such detail? And was it hard for you to write about, or did it offer you, the people you interviewed, and people like me who read your book a sense of closure and understanding?
Gosh, I hope it gave you a sense of closure and understanding. I think it was hard to write it. It was emotionally challenging. But you know what else was emotionally challenging? Not writing and not thinking about it. And I don't know what it was like for you, but for me, COVID felt scary. And when I'd close my eyes and try to go to sleep at night, I would think about my parents. I'd think about my relatives. I'd think about my city. For a while, I was thinking about my children, thinking about myself. And my brain was spinning. And a really nice thing about doing research and writing is it pushes you to think more clearly and get control of the thing that worries you. So, as much of a struggle as it was to spend years reliving a lot of 2020, which most people wanted to forget and did, I think it was also very healthy for me. And I don't know that it gives us closure, but I do believe that writing it and hopefully reading the book helps you take more seriously what you live through and process this incredible trauma so that, we have a better ability to act moving forward.
So, a little change, but
Okay.
my family is an underground utilities construction company, Corso Contracting Corporation, and we were deemed an essential company in the height of the pandemic by New York Governor Cuomo. So, given this, I'm particularly interested in how your book talks about the divide between essential and not essential workers. So, my question to you right now is how do you think we can bridge the divide between these two groups?
Yeah. Well, for me, the most important thing is we should pause for a moment and just remember that when everything was falling apart and people were afraid that they might not survive, and there was a new virus and we didn't know how to treat it and who it would kill, we said everyone needs to stay home. Don't go to school, don't go to work, don't go to bars, don't go to restaurants. Everything's closed unless you're the special new category of person that we're calling an essential worker, right? We came up with this new idea. And my view about it is we said an open secret out loud, right? Which is we all know that if we really want society to work, we depend on the labor of largely unappreciated and underpaid people, who do jobs like clean our subways and prepare food and work in retail and do deliveries and work in hospitals or deal with infrastructure. And when we named those people as essential, you would think that we would also say, because you're essential, we're going to make sure that you're taken care of. We're going to give you the best health care. We're going to make sure you have PPE so you can stay safe. We are going to give you a bonus. We are going to thank you. And we didn't do any of that. We did none of it. In fact, the thing I'm most concerned about is that in America in 2020, to be named essential was to be treated like you were expendable. And so I guess the real thing I think we need to do to make sure that essential workers are dignified and acknowledged is to make sure that people in that situation now, in ordinary times, and moving forward in crises, are treated with the real recognition and protection that they deserve.
Yeah. So, coming to current society, 2 weeks ago today, Americans went to polls to vote in national, state, and local elections. So, what do you think the impact of 2020 had in this year's elections?
So my view is that 2020 was a massive force and a quiet force shaping the 2024 elections. I think we're all living through what I consider long COVID,
Mhm.
not the medical disease, but long COVID as a social condition. And I think Americans are more divided, they're more distrustful, they're agitated, they're angry, the feeling of being fed up and on our own. I think the common thread through all the stories I tell in my book of people is that no matter where they're from, what their job, what their political ideology, Americans in 2020 and in its wake felt like the core institutions that are there to take care of us did not step up. And that anger, which we've not really worked through, is still feeding our political orientation, and it was not a great time to be an incumbent in America. We, in a weird way, I think one of the things that happened is that Americans have a really strong will not to remember what happened in 2020, a will not to know about it. We don't want to be reminded about 2020. So Trump got a kind of free pass. No one really held him accountable for the things that went wrong in 2020. But Biden got taken to task because we did want to talk about the things that came afterwards. So he was holding on to a lot of responsibility. Trump was accountable for very little. And I think that showed up in the election results.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being open to this interview. And I really can't wait to hear your presentation tonight about how 2020 shaped 2024.
Thank you. Thanks for the great questions.
Thank you.